Thank you for your insightful testimony. It was excellent. I want to start with Yemen and the country of Yemen. Supporter, generally United States, Yemen, good relationship. Are the Iranians responsible for the overthrow of the government? Anybody? You've all got an opinion, I know.
I'll take it. So at Critical Threats, we've been tracking Yemen very, very closely, and we have an analyst looking at this full time. I don't think that the Iranians are responsible for the overthrow in the sense that I don't think they ordered it, and I don't think that they intended for it to happen. I think that Iranian strategy in Yemen was, as has been described by all of the witnesses and everyone on the panel, about getting their tentacles into the government, getting effective control without responsibility for elements of the security service. I don't think that they intended to sponsor a coup d'etat. It's not entirely clear to me that the Houthis intended to stage a coup d'etat either. They did, effectively, and we should call things by their right names. But I think that they may have gotten there by having their bluff called by President Hadi in a way that turned a power play into a coup d'etat. I think that's possible. But are the Iranians supporting the Houthis? Absolutely. Are they supporting them in this play? Yep. Will they continue to support them? You bet.
Mr. Berman, different answer.
I defer to Tony.
Mr. Bedran.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't. No.
Well, one of you. Mr. Bedran. I'm going to pick a horse and ride it. Mr. Bedran.
Okay. Well, I just to add to what Dr. Kagan said, that now that this has happened, the Iranians are not hiding the lofty plans that they have for the Houthis and how they want to integrate them into their broader network in the region. So you have posters of the Houthi leader in Tehran with with writings that the revolution, i.e. the Islamic revolution, continues, and so they see it as an extension of their own vision and network of alliances in the region. And they have recently a website affiliated with the IRGC laid down what it hopes to see done by the Houthis, and it's exactly what I had described, this template that I was talking about. They advised them to create popular mobilization units. They advised them to integrate with the military forces so that you will have the same system that you have in Lebanon, that you have in Iraq, whereby you have an asset, an Iranian asset or ally in this case, shaping the military security and intelligence and broader strategic orientation of the state in which they're operating. So I think that's what they want. And I mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned in my opening, in my remarks, that Velayati, Khamenei's consigliere, as it were, recently received a delegation of Yemenite Houthi clerics in Tehran, and again also said to them that he hopes that they play the role of Hezbollah in Lebanon. So they have their plans, and they see also, and he even had a statement about how the road to the liberation of Palestine will pass through Yemen and so on. So I mean, they have a big plans, I think, for the Houthis. Now, whether the Houthis end up not having much of a choice but to go along with these, or whether they pull back, remains to be seen, I think.
You mentioned in your testimony that they were in different, Hezbollah, an Iran sponsor of terrorism was in, or maybe it was Dr. Kagan. They're in every continent except Antarctica. One of you said that. Which one of you said that? You don't remember? One of you said it. You think you did? Okay. Well, how many countries are they involved in? If you could be a little more specific.
Right.
In your analysis, y'all's analysis, world sponsor of terrorism, state sponsor of terrorism, how many countries is Iran with its affiliate Hezbollah or some other affiliate involved in terror mischief, if I can use that phrase?
I think one way to look at it, and this is not comprehensive, one way to look at it is wherever there is a Shia, especially Lebanese Shia population, for instance, in West Africa, that gives them an opportunity. It gives them a pool of recruits. Same thing applies to South America, where there's a large Lebanese constituency. So then they latch onto that. And since Hezbollah now is really the dominant force among the Lebanese Shia, that extends into these areas. So the guy, for instance, that the Peruvian police arrested in October had a Sierra Leonean passport. So Sierra Leone is where a lot of Lebanese Shia expats live and control much of the business. Nigeria, same thing. And that's where you had an operation that the Iranians were involved in, and with arms traffic. So they sit at the nexus of these things, and whenever they can procure money, weapons smuggling, or recruit operatives. And so I will stop at this particular angle, but I'm sure.
So they're opportunists. They take the opportunity when a situation in a particular country meets their needs because of the local population that they get involved. How many countries would that be? That's really my question. Just give me a ballpark figure, somebody.
So I would just chime in here at this point and say that I think it's difficult to come up with anything resembling an accurate tally, because what you have in many instances are moments in time, sort of impressionistic events, for example, in Thailand and in New Delhi in 2011, when you had the attempted terrorist attacks on the Israeli persons of interest targets, where it wasn't clear that there was a long-standing established Hezbollah or IRGC cell, but it was clear that for that particular operation, it was operating in those countries. And that makes it difficult to quantify exactly what size the global footprint is. But it is clear that where there is empty political space, as there is in Latin America, where there is economic opportunity, the opportunity to exploit gray and black markets, as there is in Asia, the IRGC is very heavily involved, and to a lesser extent, as is Hezbollah.
One more question regarding that issue. Where does Iran get the money to be the state sponsor of terror that it is, to pay for all of these operations, whether they be in moment in time or whether they be long-term? Where do they get the money?
Mr. Chairman, part of why Iran sponsors terrorism is it's relatively cheap compared to other alternatives. It gives a lot of money to the Lebanese Hezbollah. So you can cite any figure you want, but let's say several hundred million a year. But in the vast majority of other cases, we're talking low millions, we're talking often single-digit personnel. And if you compare that to the cost of, say, having a brigade in a combat zone, it's peanuts. So in a strange way, this is a way of saving money rather than spending money. The exception, though, being Lebanon in the past, and I would say Syria in particular today, where Iran is pouring, I have no idea how much, but it's, I would say, in the high hundreds of millions, billions. I'm not sure the exact figure.
So they get more bang for their buck, even probably with the cost of developing the nuclear weapons. They can go and commit specific acts of terror for a lot less money.
I would put nuclear weapons and terrorism on kind of two ends of a spectrum, where terrorism gives you lots of local capabilities, lots of ways to do small-scale things, and of course a nuclear weapon is the other extreme.
The other aspect also is when you have a group like Hezbollah that has gotten into a position of prominence in the Lebanese state, gives them opportunities to exploit corruption and other ventures within the Lebanese state to make money, racketeering, drug trade, weapons smuggling, and so on and so forth. And then when you latch on the extra layer of Lebanese Shiite businessmen, very well-to-do, in Latin America, West Africa, for instance, in Angola, the Treasury Department has designated a Shia businessman, three brothers actually, vastly, the Tajuddin brothers, very successful. They're all Hezbollah operatives, right? So a lot of these guys, they can either extort money from or just simply incorporate into their financial network. So there's multiple revenues that they can actually draw on.
Thank you. I'll yield to the ranking member.
Thank you,
Keating.
Mr. Chair.